Police Commissioner says rampage was politically motivated. CS takes action to control rank and file. And Finance confirms funds released for payments.
This is the National EMTV News with Helen Sayer.
Good evening and thanks for joining us for Thursday's news. Politically motivated, that's what caused the Joint Security Task Force personnel to storm Parliament on Tuesday. That's the line from the RPNGC Commissioner, Gary Baki, in a media conference today. The Commissioner said he was disappointed and ashamed of the behavior of his men who went on a rampage of the highest house in the land. He said investigations will be conducted and those involved will be arrested and charged.
Police Commissioner Gary Baki says to his knowledge payments were scheduled to be paid and there were no issues of allowance payments to police officers when he addressed them on Tuesday morning.
To bring the OC and the CEO of the group up here, and this is where I set them and I told them the issue of allowance should not be misconstrued. Conflicting information should be given to our men. This is the amount that we will be paying our men. This is the period that they will be engaged. This is the kind of money they will be getting.
But instead, the rampage by some 300 police and CS officers that left the Parliament with shattered windows, the reception area destroyed, Parliament officers assaulted, and the Police Commissioner, ashamed and disappointed of the action, was politically motivated.
The Constitution of Papua New Guinea has been tested, and because it has been tested in such a way that there is highly influence politically into the force for it to happen like this. And it is disappointing. So in as much as me as the Police Commissioner being ashamed of what my men and women have done, including the members of Correctional Services, any other person, if you're an intellectual Papua New Guinean, if you're a politician, and you have something to do with the destructions of the Parliament House, you should be ashamed of yourself.
Commissioner Baki gave a stern warning that investigation will be set up and officers will be charged. And if it is found to be politically motivated from the opposition, he will be directly writing to the Ombudsman Commission for further investigation.
Any members of the police force or any members of the Correctional Services are found to be in breach of the law, they will be arrested.
Meanwhile, the opposition denies any involvement.
We do not own the checkbook of government. We are not responsible for the processes of disbursement of funds to respective departments and work from government. If you're not doing your job, stand up and face the people.
There have been calls for the police commissioner to be sacked or step down. The commissioner says no such thing will happen.
Going in the social media, the commissioner has lost control of the men. That's why they've go to Parliament and they've destroyed the Parliament. If you understand and appreciate the command structure of any discipline organization, don't talk about it. If you don't talk about it.
Adelaide Siraks Kari, National EMTV News.
Earlier today, the Acting Commissioner for Correctional Service, Stephen Pokanis, also issued instructions for his men who were engaged in security operations during the APEC Leaders Summit to remain at the CS Training College at Bomana. It is a measure the Correctional Service is taking to address what transpired at Parliament House on Tuesday.
The Acting Commissioner announced this morning the grounding of the contingent of correctional officers who came from other provinces to be part of the APEC security operation. This decision was reached following a meeting with CS officers and the Acting Commissioner yesterday. Over 300 CS officers were part of the Joint Security Task Force, responsible for security during APEC. On Tuesday, a group of CS officers were part of the security personnel who stormed the National Parliament House and vandalized government vehicles outside. This was in frustration over delayed APEC allowances owed to the security personnel. Their actions were described by Acting CS Commissioner as uncalled for, and those found to be involved will be dealt with administratively. The grounding came into effect yesterday and it will not be lifted until the contingent flies back to their respective provinces. Thekla Gunga, National EMTV News.
10.8 million kina has been released from the Finance Department to pay outstanding allowances owed to members of the Joint Security Task Force. According to Finance Secretary Dr. Ken Nangan, a warrant of 21 million kina was issued to the Finance Department to fast-track payment. This came hours after JSDF members stormed Parliament House and damaged property.
The announcement on the release of funds came late Wednesday afternoon. According to the Finance Department, the first installment of over 10 million kina was released yesterday, with the remaining balance of 10.8 million kina to be paid next week. In total, 21 million kina has been allocated for allowances for members of the JSDF. On Tuesday, close to 300 angry security personnel met at the Rego Flynn netball courts in what was supposed to be an official address by JSDF Commander Gary Baki. Despite verbal assurance that their allowances will be paid, JSDF members, including police and correctional officers, entered the Parliament House and destroyed the entrance into the building. A number of windows around the Parliament House were destroyed and the scanning machine vandalized. Each JSDF member is expected to receive around 9,000 kina for the total 18 days work. Thekla Gunga, National EMTV News.
Founding Father Grand Chief Sir Michael Somare has come out publicly about the destruction of the Parliament House by the two disciplinary forces on Tuesday. He was at the National Alliance Party head office today to comment on the destruction at Parliament House.
Grand Chief Sir Michael Somare, the first Prime Minister of Papua New Guinea, has expressed dissatisfaction on the destruction of the country's national parliament. He strongly condemned the actions of the members of the disciplinary forces, the Royal Papua New Guinea Constabulary and the Correctional Service Institute, who vented destruction to the corridors of Parliament and the surroundings on Tuesday after they didn't receive their APEC allowances.
The men of our armed forces is not the right thing to do. It's sick in mind if people do that, you know. These are things we trying to preserve for future generation. When they come, when your children come, they know that this parliament was built by their ancestors.
Opened in 1984 by His Royal Highness Prince Charles, Sir Michael Somare witnessed the construction of the parliament and walked the corridors of the iconic building for 33 years as a member of parliament. He spoke highly of the house, describing it as beautiful, but now with smashed glass and damaged after 34 years.
It's not very good. It doesn't sound very good at all. It doesn't sound as if we are an educated country. It's very, very bad, you know. And I can't help it. I can talk about it more. I think I've said enough. I'm just disappointed that this has happened.
He said it was shameful for him as a Papua New Guinean to talk of the destruction of Parliament, and saddening as well to see the public pouring out sympathy at the aftermath.
The people live in the squatter areas. They came in and they were feeling sorry for Parliament. What has happened to Parliament? They sat there and they were feeling sorry, mourn for loss of things that they have destroyed.
He added that it was the showing of PNG's untamed rage, which sees a negative after hosting the biggest event in the country's history, APEC. Fidelis Sukina, National EMTV News.
You're at National EMTV News. We'll be back with more updates after these messages. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Member for Kerema Richard Mendani has joined the National Alliance Party. His inclusion brings the number of NA members to 17. The move has also boosted the number of opposition members to 23.
Opposition members today welcomed Kerema MP Richard Mendani to the National Alliance Party. NA Party and opposition leader Patrick Pruitt announced the joining of the member in a news conference this afternoon. According to Pruitt, the move is one of the bold decisions made by Mendani and is calling on the government backbenchers to also join the opposition.
Today I'm happy to announce that we are now recruiting a government backbencher to join the opposition, and he is the Honourable Member for Kerema, Honourable Richard Mendani, who is now joining the opposition, joining the National Alliance Party to consolidate the opposition's position insofar as moving forward to stage a vote of no confidence in Prime Minister Peter O'Neill.
Richard Mendani, who was a candidate of the NA Party in the 2017 elections, crossed the floor to the government side after he was elected as the member for Kerema Open.
I'm glad to be back in the opposition. This is not the first time I've done that. In the last time, I moved from government to opposition because I always feel that whenever I feel that the affairs of the country is not being managed poorly in the way it should be, I always make a firm stand on that. And this time again, I have decided to move from government to opposition, and I'm calling on all the other members of who are on the government side to move over, because the affairs of our country is much more important than our own personal needs and gains. I decided to move because
NA says they will make more announcements in the coming weeks on the crossing of members from the government to the opposition side, and Pruitt is confident that the number is expected to increase. The opposition leader also said they are intact and are ready to form the next government in 2019. Suli, National EMTV News.
Meanwhile, Kerema MP Richard Mendani has been expelled from the Gulf Provincial Executive Council and Provincial Assembly effectively as of the 4th of November 2018. Chairman of the Assembly and Governor Chris Haiveta made the announcement recently, adding that it is unfortunate for the people of Kerema District, but it was the only necessary and legally correct action to take after the member missed out on 3 consecutive Assembly meetings and several PEC meetings. Governor Haiveta has called on Mr. Mendani to stop the trend of constant abuse and negligence of his mandated duty as the member for Kerema Open Electorate and work together with him and the member for Kikori, Soro Eoe, for the betterment of the Gulf Province. The landowners of the Ramoniko project area have threatened to shut down project if their demands presented in a 3-page petition are not met within 7 days. Their action follows the signing of the mining extension agreement between the PNG and Chinese governments and the developer Ramoniko Management Ltd during the APEC Leaders Summit.
Around 5:30 p.m. yesterday, these landowners presented their petition to Ramoniko Management Headquarters. They say they do not know the content of the agreement signed, nor were they informed of the signing of the mining extension. Adding they did not take into consideration the interest of the primary beneficiary, the landowners, the provincial government and the local level government.
7 days by midla giving. Na by mitla olim disla walk. Unless all come na talk la mitla na give notify mitla all sem mitla ka gepo nogat mitla ka space lab feeding los pino. Suppose mitla nogat disla. You know na run on tablo man and sit down stablo and no against lo custom blame.
Government has failed us from day one. They've never given us security. They've never told MCC to give us business. MCC came here knowing that government owns the land. Every time we say we are landowner, they say no.
They say since the establishment of the mine, they have not been benefiting as expected. Adding for the last 13 years, they have not equally participated in the mine and have felt that they had been marginalized. The landowners are demanding the PNG government and the developer Ramu Nickel to respond to their 4 demands favorably before the 7 days lapse.
Give him 7 days notice, government company come out, now talk.
They also claimed a review of the Memorandum of Agreement needs to be done as the previous MOA had already expired in March this year. Thus, the company is operating illegally, while also demanding a renewal of the compensation agreement, adding there was no relocation or resettlement program for landowners before the extension of the mine.
Now, without the knowledge, input of the stakeholders.
Ramu Nickel Management Limited acknowledged the petition presented to them, saying the MOU signed on Friday 16th in Port Moresby is only AI-level understanding. This will pave way for other agreements and detailed engagement, which landowners will be consulted and will be required to get involved.
This agreement was made twice this year to the landowners. And we also indicated to the landowners that there will be an agreement signed during the APEC meeting between the two countries about this project. It's based on the current design of the mine. The nickel and cobalt grade at Ramu Nickel, at the Krobokari mine, according to the original plan and design, the grade will decline after 5 years of production. This year is the 5th year of production. Under the review clauses, as soon as the first review was done in 2013, December 3rd, and it will lapse this year. And this process will be initiated by the government, Mineral Resource Authority, and they've already issued a letter to us on the 26th of July for us to submit our position paper. All stakeholders, including Medang Provincial Government, the government of Papua New Guinea.
Masaluis, National EMTV News, Medang.
A small-scale miner and local businessman Joe Tomerop says Papua New Guinea will have a bright future if the government sees the importance of alluvial mining. Tomerop, who has been in the business for 5 years, says small-scale mining can rescue a country's economy and foreign exchange. However, he still needs a license to operate as a first-time local investor in this sector.
Tomerop is building his own machines and plans to fulfill the Mineral Resource Authority's requirement for investors to have their own equipment before applying for license. So far, he has spent over 800,000 kina to locally build his own plant, as well as trying to acquire a license from the Mineral Resources Authority. Tomerop's village in the Kompiam electorate in Enga province is situated on the beltline of resources such as gold and copper. Tomerop says he wants to be one of the first Papua New Guineans to own a small-scale mine instead of working for expatriates.
It's from Bulolo. Wow. In fact, one spoke to me the other day on the phone saying, "When are you coming?" I don't know anything about mining. I'm only beginning. They know all about mining, but they've been submerged by the government, by funding, where they could have gone in. But all we want is foreigners to come in. An instant in Enga, where we're going, the landowners kick the Chinese out.
Joe Tomerop has been in business for over 30 years and has only just started investing in small-scale alluvial mining. In 2016, MTV's Resource PNG program featured a story about an alluvial mining conference and trade show hosted by the Mineral Resource Authority in Goroka. The theme was mechanized alluvial mining, from which Tomerop also attended. Tomerop was not pleased that MRA did not trade show any mechanized equipment to small-scale miners to learn from. This has forced him to build his own equipment to be able to get a license.
But I think by doing this, I can help other alluvial miners throughout this country and open their eyes, and they can see this, and we can take this industry to another level.
A landowner group from Tomerop's village has always wanted to mine gold illegally, but they said alluvial mining has the potential to bring in millions of kina. They are urging MRA to be fair in issuing licenses to expatriates as well as the locals.
Because we cannot wait for any long time now. We need service, we need money at this point of time.
Vasinata Yama, National EMTV News, Mount Hagen.
Companies who have been exceptional in their contributions to NESFund this year will soon be recognized. Today, NESFund announced the inaugural NESFund Employer Awards, which acknowledges the best performing contributors to the Superannuation Fund.
As part of improving its engagement with its contributors, National Superannuation Fund, NASFund, today announced an initiative to acknowledge exceptional contributors.
Basically, among the board, from the board down and the executive, we decided that for the first time starting 2018, we'll be having an Employer Awards dinner.
The awards will cover 6 categories: contributions, voluntary contributions, member account maintenance, benefit payments, best voluntary contributing employer, and the NASFund Chairman's Award for best overall employer.
What we believe is this level of engagement with employers will now make employers start thinking about doing the right things. More of them want to compete so that they can be recognized. You know, when you don't recognize someone doing a good job, eventually they give up doing a good job.
Over recent months, statistics have been compiled across all 2,600 contributing companies and organizations. According to NASFund Manager, Employer Services, Michael Somare, the results of this screening will be made known at the awards night.
From the 2,600 employers, we then did an elimination down to half of that, and then to the top 100 of them, again based on those categories. The different sets of criteria, but also including the voluntary employers as well, so we are inclusive all the time.
The annual Employer Awards have been described as one more avenue that NASFund is taking to recognize the important role of employers in promoting the mandatory and voluntary superannuation contributions.
Provide an extra reason why it becomes more stronger for HR officers, for payroll officers to find it exciting to try and have more reason why they should be processing contributions for NASFund, or why they should be diligently processing payment approvals for NASFund.
Merabatulo, National EMTV News.
A cleaner, cheaper form of energy will help cocoa farmers in East New Britain province to improve the quality of their cocoa beans. A new biogas project is still in its infancy stages, but it is hoped the technology could be used for more than just cocoa fermentation. It is a joint initiative by the PNG University of Natural Resources and Environment and the PNG Cocoa Board that wants to eliminate smoke-tainted cocoa beans, but they say the project, if successful, can be used in the household as an alternative energy source for cooking.
This is cow manure, and this is a digester that contains the manure. Both results in this biogas that can be used for cooking.
Gas now is flowing through the pipeline to the gas.
All this is part of a biogas project that began as an academic research by the PNG University of Natural Resources and Environment, but which has been taken on board and developed by the Cocoa Board of Papua New Guinea to be used as an alternative way of drying cocoa beans. Yesterday, this small gathering marked the signing of an agreement between the two agriculture institutions to launch the pilot biogas project. While the concept of producing biogas is an old one, the PNG UNRE, the creator of the project, says the technology involved in this is groundbreaking.
We can be able to supply the right information that can actually speed up the adoption of the technology and roll out to our local farmers, which is our ultimate aim.
While the primary focus is to improve the fermentation and processing of cocoa beans, there are also other ways of putting it to use. It can be used as an alternative energy source for cooking in households. The two partners are now looking at expanding the project, but first they will have to trial it. And so far, the results are saying there is even more untapped potentials in ways to use it.
This is an initiative where we are all excited about, because it won't only benefit the cocoa farmers, But this can also benefit the ordinary Papua New Guineans in the rural.
Edwin Fidelis, National EMTV News, Kokopo.
Ilimo Dairy, PNG's local dairy producer, welcomed Vanuatu's Prime Minister Charlo Salwai Tabimasmas, as well as other members of his Vanuatu delegation to Ilimo Farm earlier this week. The delegation got a full behind-the-scenes tour on the Ilimo production.
Ilimo Dairy Farm hosted the Prime Minister of Vanuatu, Charlo Salwai Tabimasmas, PNG Finance Minister James Marape, as well as other members of the Vanuatu delegation on Monday. Officiating the grand tour was Chairman of Innovative Agro Industry PNG, operators of Ilimo Dairy Farm, Ilan Weiss. Mr. Weiss said not many people expect to see such a high-tech, environmentally conscious facility here in PNG, so it's great to show our Melanesian neighbor what is possible. The group were shown through the milking parlor, packing and distribution facility, and on-site feed management facility before finally sampling products. Apart from creating 200 jobs, Ilimo Dairy Farm is committed to sourcing feed locally, which is developing the local maize growing industry that will directly impact households in the Kairuku district and other districts of the Central Province in the months to come. Come December, Ilimo fresh dairy products produced in the Central Province will be made available in Ley. Lilian Sopera Kinea, National EMTV News.
You're at National EMTV News. We have more of the news coming your way on the other side of this break. Welcome back to the news. Mulbaya MP Koi Trape and his administration today handed in their acquittals for 2017 to the Department of Implementation and Rural Development. DIRD's acting secretary Ihi Baki said the Lomosa district is one that has always been consistent with its acquittal updates.
DIRD Acting Secretary Ihi Baki thanked the member for Mulbaya, Koi Trape, and his administration for an up-to-date delivery of the 2017 acquittals. Officers from DIRD who visited the district this year said they were very impressed at how funds for the district were being rolled out to accommodate for basic service delivery to the people and the development of the district. Member Trape, during his discussions of the acquittals, told DIRD that most of the funds for the district were mainly used on projects that are necessary. He says the successful delivery of acquittals on time comes down to how well the administration works. He says there are other plans to implement more projects where the people can be involved and at the same time develop the district. Plans to negotiate other business projects in the district are currently in discussions, while health, education and government services into the district are of high importance. Farming projects are also expected to be implemented to engage farmers. Starting next year, following the 2019 national budget, which was handed down last Tuesday, the government has opted to transfer administration of SIP funds down to DIRD for accountability and transparency, and most importantly, for good governance. Godwin Eki, National EMTV News.
4 primary schools in Rego district will soon have new classrooms and teachers' houses through the District Development Authority grants. Rego DDA has partnered with the Works Department and has engaged local contractors to deliver the projects. The 4 primary schools to benefit from this project are Dalmagini, Bina, Makaruku and Rilo. In the presence of local MP Lekwa Gura today, the DDA CEO Koru Abe signed the agreements with the successful contractors.
Today, the construction companies Venari, Gamogamanu, Ground Zero and Hadi contractors signed agreements for the projects. Each is contracted to build a double classroom and a 2-bedroom teacher's house at the designated schools. With the total cost expected to be over 1 million kina, the projects will see a total of 8 buildings built. All hailing from Rego district, the contractors share the same sentiments when thanking the local MP for involving locals in the development of the district.
It's not a promise, but we will try our best to serve the member, give him the quality job that we will be putting forward.
This is the first gig for most of these contractors, and it will also be a learning experience. Designs for the projects will be the responsibility of the Works Department, and they will also be supervising during constructions. All the contractors were urged to build according to these designs.
And I'm really encouraging the contractors, no shortcuts. Build the classrooms at teachers' houses according to the specification. But that's what your course were based on. So please, no shortcuts, build it according to the specifications. And the completion certificate will only be issued if that infrastructure, whether it's the classroom or the teachers' houses, is built according to the design specifications. So I think I want to make that very clear to all the contractors.
Works Department will be delivering the projects through its Rural Infrastructure Branch. The branch is responsible for projects within rural areas.
But we have been around before the independence, about 40 plus years now, doing these similar projects for people in the rural areas. Not only the, as you can see, building, we go into various rural infrastructures, water supplies, food bridges, roads, rural roads.
With the festive season nearing, the DDA has decided to make the first payment to the contractors in the new year as soon as the accounts open. Following this, construction work will begin. Charlene Eri, National EMTV News.
A private-run school in Lae graduated students from social science and business lines today with the aim to introduce the science line next year. 71 grade 10 and 12 students successfully completed their matriculation studies and graduated from the AOG Christian Academy school this morning.
A total of 71 graduates from AOG graduated today after a successful completion of schooling. With having graduates only from social science and business lines, the school now looks forward to introducing science line next year. The school principal, Carol Bisound, says the school will introduce the science line in 2019.
We want to create that opportunity for those who want to do science, but they're going to other private schools. So we want to create that opportunity for them to come to AOG Secondary so they can do chemistry, biology.
The AOG Christian Academy school here at Okari campus in Lae was established 8 years ago. This is one of the first Christian Academy schools that started in Lae. The school has over 200 students and 9 teachers. Being one of the 4 private-owned schools in Lae, AOG Christian Academy aims to increase its staff and students in the future. The school principal says to introduce the science line next year, the school would need more classrooms. As a private organization, Mrs. Bisound urged donor organizations to support the school with funds to put up classrooms. Mary Bernigani, National EMTV News, Lae.
Schools in Waubulolo celebrated World Children's Day at the St. Peter's Primary School with the theme Children Today, Our Keepers Tomorrow. The day also saw the Morobe Family Sexual Violence Action Committee launching the 20 Days of Activism Against Gender-Based Violence. The theme for the 20 Days campaign against gender-based violence this year is End Gender-Based Violence in the World of Work. The 20 Days of Activism will end on the 10th of December. The Secretariat Office of the Family Sexual Violence Action Committee in Lae is facilitating and coordinating the 20 Days of Activism Against Gender-Based Violence this year. Turning overseas now, when our problem with plastics is no longer far off, it washes up on our shores. A dead whale found on a beach in Indonesia with 6 kilograms of plastic found in its stomach. Here's a closer look at how our oceans got to be so polluted.
A sperm whale in Indonesia found dead with 6 kilograms of plastic in its stomach. The 9.5-metre mammal was discovered washed ashore in an area designated as a national park, one that's popular with tourists. Park officials say the whale had swallowed bags, plastic bottles, sandals, 115 plastic cups and more than 1,000 pieces of string. Although the cause of the death has not been established, the World Wildlife Fund for Indonesia calls this a truly awful case. And sadly, it's not an isolated incident. In June, vets in southern Thailand found a short-fin pilot whale dead with 80 plastic bags in its stomach. That's more than 7.5 kilograms of plastic. A 2015 report found that over 50% of plastic in the world's oceans come from China, Indonesia, the Philippines, Thailand, and Vietnam. The Ocean Conservancy report also says that a 65% reduction in plastic waste in those 5 countries would lead to a 45% reduction globally. An estimated 8 million metric tons of plastic is dumped in the world's oceans each year, according to the World Economic Forum. And if the current trends continue, a British government report has found that the current plastic pollution levels in our oceans will triple in the next decade. Some countries, though, are taking steps to reduce pollution. The European Parliament recently voted to ban single-use plastic items like straws and cutlery. It also wants member states to recycle 90% of plastic bottles by 2025. It's just one small step towards tackling the problem of plastic trash in the world's oceans.
This is Thursday's news. Trukai Sports is coming your way next. Stay tuned for all the action after these messages.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. The PNG women's national football team secured another great win against New Caledonia in the OFC Women's Nations Cup. PNG defeated hosts New Caledonia 6-2 yesterday.
There was much talk about the match as it was anticipated to be a tough encounter. That was not the case, with PNG scoring 6 goals, beating New Caledonia, who managed to score 2 goals. It was a Pacific Games Grand Final rematch. PNG beat New Caledonia twice in the finals match in the 2012 and 2015 Pacific Games. New Caledonia was out for revenge but failed. Mari Kaipu was a standout for Team PNG, scoring a hat-trick and assisting in a goal. She proved to be trouble for the New Caledonians' defense, scoring her first goal early in the first half. She assisted in the team's 3rd goal, setting Ramona Padio, and was instrumental throughout the whole 90 minutes. PNG coach Peter Gunemba was pleased with the team's defense and was thrilled with Kaipu's performance. PNG will play their next match against Tahiti, who drew with Samoa in their last match. PNG will take on Tahiti on Saturday. Elijah Levet, National EMTV Sports.
PNG Rugby Football League Chairman Sandy Saka commended the SP Hunters coaching staff and board for their work done in the team. With the amount of players leaving the club this season to join other clubs overseas, Saka says this has shown the success the team has had over 5 years.
As the Hunters program became successful over the years, more kids will be moving on. We believe that losing players of talent overseas is actually a badge of honor for the club. It actually shows how successful the Hunters program is, and congratulations to the coach, the chairman, and everybody who's been working hard behind the Hunters program. So realizing this over the last 3-4 years, Coach Michael and the team have worked very well with Stanley and Chairman Adrian at the Digital Cup level. Our plan is the knowledge. One thing that PNG RFL is proud of is, for the first time, this elite international level program is localized.
Your Trukai Sports will continue with more after this break.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. LeBron James was once public enemy #1 in Cleveland, Ohio. So how would the NBA superstar's first return to the city in a Lakers jersey go down with Cavaliers fans? The reaction took even the 4-time MVP by surprise.
Cleveland's favourite son returning in rival colours for the second time. LeBron James receiving a hero's welcome despite donning the Los Angeles Lakers yellow and purple. Today's ovation a far cry from the reception in 2010 when he returned to Akron with the Miami Heat as a villain. This time though, a video tribute to the NBA legend put on the big screen out of the first timeout.
Cleveland! This is for you!
James clearly fighting back some emotion before getting to work.
Shot clock winding down, just gets it off and hits the three. His three-point shooting is now just under 40% for the season.
Despite the Lakers surprisingly trailing at halftime, James almost had a double-double with 18 points and 8 rebounds.
James drives and flushes. It's incredible this late in his career how impactful he still is.
Not much of an impact in the third quarter from the NBA superstar, but come the clutch moments in the fourth, surprise, surprise, James delivered.
James puts up a three, puts it in. LeBron James from downtown. It's a tie game.
The Cleveland crowd coming alive, the love disappearing with crucial free throws. No impact on him though, James finishing with 32 points and 14 rebounds, leading the Lakers to a 109-105 win.
You know, to come back and get the reception that I got tonight, it means a lot to not only myself, but for my family and my friends that was here tonight.
Meanwhile, OKC's Kiwi centre Steven Adams has a double-double late in a tight game against Golden State.
And to some rugby union, the All Blacks have made selection changes following their loss to Ireland. Media pressure for Kieran Reid to go as All Blacks captain has prompted a swift response from coach Steve Hansen. Hansen has taken aim at certain journalists who he says should know better.
Little errors from Kieran Reid, critical moments in games.
Moments that had an impact on one game, not the career of an All Blacks captain.
Yeah, well, some of those articles are ridiculous.
And what Steve Hansen's been reading is that 33-year-old Kieran Reid is a shadow of his former self. Not up to it physically, he makes bad decisions and gives away too many penalties. Deep down, Reid probably just relieved his anthem performance wasn't thrown in there too.
Is it frustrating when you read some of the stuff that are from people that should know better? Yep, it is, but you know, they've also got a job to do. Usually it's to sell a newspaper or to get somebody to click on their story, so it's a good thing people could do is not click on it. You know, then they wouldn't have a job. It'd be great.
It's obviously caused a reaction in the All Blacks camp, but Hansen says criticism has always served a purpose, especially this close to a World Cup.
And you wouldn't want it any other way, because it's what's made us, over the years, the team we are.
And as for his captain,
you just got to be strong enough to believe in who you are, and you know, as I said, he's well supported, so his position is not under threat.
Although he may ask his lifters for more support after falling headfirst into the turf, where he lay as Ireland ran rampant.
Got put on my ass in the line-out, so I can't remember too much of it.
And while Dublin caused a few others to forget, Rome may be the place to send out a friendly reminder about why he is the man for the job.
And that story wraps up Trukai Sports for tonight. Up next, the weather details for the next 24 hours.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
The weather details were proudly brought to you by Dulux, celebrating 50 years in PNG and the only paint made in PNG.
Looking at the weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow, mostly fine right across the region. In the southern region, in Port Moresby, Daru, Kerema, Alatau and Popondetta. In the Momase region, mostly fine in Lae and Wau, rain showers in Madang, cloudy periods in Wewak and Panimo. In the New Guinea Islands region, rain showers in Loringa, cloudy periods in Kavieng, shower or two in Kokopo and Rabaul. In Kimbe, some showers with a top temperature of 29 degrees and showers and thunderstorms in Buka. And in the Highlands region, rain showers in Mount Hagen, showers in Goroka, Kundiawa, Mendi and Wabeg.
The weather details were proudly brought to you by Dulux, celebrating 50 years in PNG and the only paint made in PNG.
And that's been the news, sport and weather for today, Thursday, the 22nd of November 2018. On behalf of the news team right around the country and myself, pleasant viewing. Good night.